shop, a beautiful day for building. It's finally time to cut and to grind. Freddy Dynomite's here and we're going to build a dynamite bike. She's a beauty. It's finally time to cut and to grind. I have always wanted a cafe racer and so do you. Keep watching all of my videos and you can build one too. So let's make some stuff on this beautiful day. You're already watching, you might as well stay. It's finally time to cut and grind. Please click to subscribe to my channel. If you like what you see, then please do this for me. Please click and subscribe to my channel. Welcome to part 2 of the Freddy Dynamite Cafe Racer build. Now please, cue the intro. Hi everybody and welcome back. Last episode we left off after having fitted the GS450 tank onto the Maxim frame with some slight modifications. This episode we're going to remove the rear seat subframe and replace it with a cafe hoop. Now I had this hoop custom made at a local shop. When I got it, didn't quite fit the way I want it. For example, the spacing between the outside of the hoop on this hoop were 8 1/4 inches. On the Maxim it's 9 inches, so I had to do something about that. Plus the upturn I find is way too long for the look I'm going for. So let's modify this and make it work. After a lot of thinking about it, I came down to the shop last night and unfortunately didn't record it, but I actually did manage to get it spread far enough apart. What I ended up doing was heating it up with this propane torch until the curve was red hot, and then I used my vise. Now if you guys are looking for a tool that's amazing to have, especially in the vise, look for one that can turn upside down and be able to use the bottom part. I've used this both on the tank and the hoop now, where I took the hoop, place it in the vise like this, and continue to open the vise to spread it apart. It took a lot of tries and a lot of heat and a lot of pressure, but eventually I did get the width that I needed. See, right now we're at 9 1/4 inches. I know I said 9 earlier, but I'll explain that in a second. One thing I didn't like was the length of the upturn. I just found it to be too long and it didn't look right on the bike. So the first thing we're going to do in this episode is cut a piece of this out and bring it down lower, probably about a couple inches. The reason I made the rails 9 1/4 inches instead of 9 inches is because these two parts are not parallel. Once we take 2 inches out, it's going to bring the bottom frame rails in by 1/4 inch. What we're going to do is mark 2 inches out of here, cut it, and bring it down. Now that the hoop's been cut, all we need to do is weld the hoop back onto the parallel rails. Let's do this and not lose any strength. We're going to put some plugs inside of the 3/4 inch bar. We'll insert the plugs to the hoop. I've got the edges of the tube angled down so we get a good weld. We've got some plug holes here to put some weld in there to make sure the plugs don't move. Let's weld this up now. There we go. See if we can short it. Alright, well I think that looks a whole lot better. Next step, let's get this mounted onto the bike itself. Now that I have the seat frame hoop the way I want it, the tank where I want it, let's see how we're going to mount the new seat frame hoop to the Maxim frame. As I mentioned in the previous episode, I want to cut off this original seat frame off the Maxim and put on our seat frame hoop so that we're level all the way across and equal with the tank. First I took my level, found the level part of the frame I wanted to go with, and measured across the mark where the new frame is going to connect. Now all we have to do is grind off all these welds to remove this part of the seat frame and replace it with the hoop. Sounds easy. We managed to get the seat frame cut and modified so that it sits on the Maxim frame properly. I was hoping to get it all welded on in this episode, but we're starting to get a little bit long, so I think we'll make it part 2. So the next episode will be part 2 of episode 2, or is this the prequel to episode 3? Either way, we'll get it worked out and we'll get it all mounted on in the next episode. Don't forget to please hit subscribe on the channel so that way you'll know when the next video comes out. Thanks for joining me, everybody. See you next episode.